what's going on, guys? So it's been a little bit of time since we've actually been doing some solid work on the 240. Of course, like I don't know, 4 months ago, I ended up blowing up my old KA, spun a bearing. It was awful, but we got that motor out. We got a new motor in, and it's almost ready. It's I don't know. I think maybe I have a bad math or something. It just isn't running perfectly right yet. I looked at the timing on it, and it looks good. Everything else, it looks semi-good. I might try and pop another ground on the motor because it's having some trouble idling. So that and the math, look at those. If I can't do that, I don't know, we'll go from there. But looks pretty good just having the K running naturally aspirated, of course. And so I pretty much, at this point, I've made the decision that I'm going to be turbocharging the KA. And I know there are a lot of other options. I could have done an SR20, could have done an RB, could have done a JZ, could have done a V8. There's so many things I could have done. And how I thought about it before was oh man, in 3 years I'm going to go compete in Formula Drift. I'm man, I got to have a V8 because it's man, why would I do a KA? It's oh, I got to have a V8, I got to have a V8. It's power, and it's oh, I'll just be able to use this motor forever. And it's I don't know. So it's maybe a V8 or a 1J or 2J would be a better platform to build off of than a KA. But it's the money you have to put up front for it didn't make sense for me. And it's maybe if I was trying to get a car that would be good everywhere and just drive normally on the road and just be peaceful, a stock motor like a V8 just naturally aspirated, just normal, that'd be good. A 1J or a 2J, it's just that's how it came from the factory, turbocharged, or maybe even SR and RB. It would be probably run better. But this is just pretty much straight drift car. Maybe I'll drive it on the road once or twice, but it's KA turbo. It's relatively cheap for what you're getting, which is pretty much slightly tuned SR20 power. I'm looking at probably around 250 horsepower with what I'm trying to do. And for how much money I'm going to be spending at the end of the entire turbocharging process, it kind of just seemed like the cheapest option at this point to make the kind of power that I want. Because I mean, it's a stock KA. I'd be lucky if it's making 100 wheel horsepower now. And after I do all my turbo stuff, according to the internet, which is of course a very trustworthy source, I should be making around 220, 230, 240 horsepower at the wheels. And I mean, that's twice the power I'm making now plus a little bit. So it's I think that'll be a good building block from going from a stock KA. So now we're gonna go a little bit into the actual parts I'm gonna be using on the turbocharging KA situation. And as you can see right here, I have this nice shelf that I put together, and it's allowed me to be a lot more organized because I was very messy before, and it's the garage is so organized now. It's just so oh yeah. So this right here is pretty much the pride and joy of the turbo process. This is just eBay manifold, eBay turbo. I think it's T28, T25, stock SR20 turbo replacement, but just some China thing. Obviously it's not the best turbo, and it's a little bit small for what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, it's I'm gonna be using stock 370cc SR20 injectors, and with a stock T28, I think those will go together pretty nicely. And if I ever want to get any more out of the motor, I can always just get a bigger turbo, new manifold, and bigger injectors, and then I can go from there. So it's not detrimental. And I got I think a pretty good deal on this setup here. I got this manifold, this turbo, and this Megan Racing O2 housing for $200, and they're all brand new, which is pretty cool. And this thing alone is $100, so I don't know. And I also have this other O2 housing, which is actually kind of sick. It's the wastegate side of the turbo is here, so it just shoots fire straight out of it, but then you can hook the rest of it up to the exhaust. And I don't know if I'll actually end up using it, because I don't know if I want fire shooting around near my engine bay, because it's might be some oil and kind of explosions and fires, but we'll see what we want to do. So of course what we got here is the most fun piece of turbo part that just gets to stick out of the front of the car. We have this front mount intercooler, and this is just some eBay thing. It was given to me as a gift, which I very much appreciate. It's not anything special, just an eBay intercooler. It has 3-inch outlets, which is too large, and honestly this intercooler is too large for what I'm doing. It's probably to make the almost dropped it. Probably gonna make the turbo a little bit laggy just because it's so big. I definitely didn't need one nearly this large, but I just want to have a fat front mount intercooler sticking out the front of the motor, so it's okay. So we got here just the less fun parts, but you kind of still need them because you want the car to work. This is just a T28 turbo outlet piece. since like the T28s have this like weird 3-bolt pattern, it's not like a standard like turbo you get like aftermarket. Just has like a pipe, like just like this is on the edge of the turbo, and you can just hook an intercooler pipe straight to that. This you have to have this little outlet on, so we got that. And we also have a little inlet one here, but I actually also have a little coupler on it because it's like we're doing a lot of different size piping in this. So coming out of the turbo outlet, we're gonna go to a 2.5-inch intercooler pipe all the way up to the intercooler, where I have a 2.5 to 3-inch coupler because I didn't want to get 3-inch intercooler piping because it's like more expensive and it's like completely unnecessary. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna have this little coupler on it. Doesn't really, no one cares. It's fun turbo boosting. So of course, when we have our turbo going on the motor, shooting some fire inside, gotten some explosions, making some more power, we're gonna have a lot more crankcase pressure. So what we got here is just like a little eBay catch can piece and this fun little clear blue line that's just gonna pop off the valve cover. And we'll get some extra oil popping in there. We're also gonna have to like one of those filter guys to go on the edge of this so we can vent any excess pressure out, but that should be good because like right now the oil that's like coming out of the valve cover when it's got like pressure and stuff just gets shot right back into the intake, and like on like a factory KA, like that's fine. Factory motor, it's just like it can suck up that much oil, but like with the turbo it might be a little bit more, and it's like might as well just have a catch can. You don't need to be sucking up that kind of oil into the intake. And then of course what we got here, a little Walbro 255 fuel pump. This will be more than adequate for our purposes. Not really much to say here. We'll pop this in the fuel tank, replace the factory fuel pump, and we'll have plenty of fuel for our turbocharged needs. So still on the topic of fuel, what we got here is an SR20 fuel rail. I mostly just bought it for the injectors because that's all I really need. These are just stock SR20 370cc injectors. And for like the turbo I have and for what I'm doing, these are going to be more than adequate. I'm probably going to run out of turbo before I run out of injector on this motor. But yeah, pretty nice. So I don't know, I got like an okay deal on this. I kind of like didn't want to buy the fuel rail, I just wanted the injectors. But the guy was like, no, I got to sell them as a set. So like he sold them as a set, and then he like spent $20 shipping the entire fuel rail because it was like a big box. And it's like he could have just shipped the injectors for like $3 and like just charged less. But it was like, we got injectors, we got a fuel rail, yeah. And then of course, we're going to be relocating the battery to the back of the car because like, we're going to have a lot of weight up front, and the intercooler piping is kind of like going to want to go through the battery tray where it is right now. And it's like, might as well move some weight around. We're going to have like a turbo and an intercooler and all this piping in the front. Try and spread out some weight and have a battery in the back. Got a new negative battery terminal because the one I have right now is so messed up. It's just like corroded. The entire thing's corroded. It's just like, definitely need a new one. We got a new one here. Very nice. And then of course here we have another well thought out decision. This is the turbo oil feed line, which looks nice, but it is nowhere near long enough to go all the way around the motor. And I don't really know what I was thinking when I bought it. I was like, man, that's a good price. I should just get that one. But it was also like, this is not long enough. Yeah, so we're gonna have to either gonna get another short one and just connect them, or probably gonna just do the right thing, just buy a new one that's just one piece of braided line all the way from the turbo to the oil feed block plate thing, and we'll deal with that. So still talking about oil, what we got here is a little oil drain tube here. The KA got already actually had an oil drain on it because like it had an oil pan with a turbo thing on it, and the guy was going to put it back into his car, but he never actually ended up putting it back in. So like I don't think the motor I have ever ran boosted, but who knows. It probably had like 18,000 horsepower on it, and the entire thing is just screwed up. And when I try and put turbo boost power into it, it's just going to explode. But what we got here is another oil drain, because the one's kind of in there, it's a little bit like sketchy, and it's like probably need to just replace it because I don't need to have oil leaking around in the engine bay, because no one likes fires in their engine bay that's not shooting out of their exhaust because of backfires. And then of course, since we're going to be running the car with a turbo, I'm going to want to make sure this engine doesn't blow up. So we got some new gauges to monitor some things. We already have a water temp gauge, and we've got a couple of other things here. Here we have an oil pressure gauge, because I think if I had this oil pressure gauge before, actually that probably wouldn't have stopped the bearing from being spun because the car had plenty of oil in it. I don't know what I could have done about that. Yeah, so we got that. We also have an oil temp gauge because I'm not going to be running any water lines to the turbo, which sounds bad for like cooling, but it's like not that bad. You just gotta let the car cool down a little bit after you're done driving, let the oil circulate through the turbo. And I mean, obviously it's not going to do anything for making the eBay Turbo last longer, but like for like what I have to do, and I don't want to like deal with water lines, and you don't need to, and it's like, don't need them. And like if I do end up messing up this turbo, it's like, all right, now we have a point. If you want to get a different turbo, we can do that, or we can just get a T28 off of a SR20 and just pop that on. Not really a big deal. And then of course everyone's favorite gauge, we got our boost gauge here. We'll be able to hopefully make it go like positive boost, because that would be good for the turbo and the car if it's doing that. And of course here, keeping with the trend of authentic parts, we have a straight eBay like $30 blow-off valve. It's like, it's from eBay, it's like maybe it's not the best quality part, but it's like, it's either gonna work or it's not. It's like, I guess it could like do medium. If I spend $30 on something and it doesn't work, it's like, kind of like, why did I do that in the first place? But it's like, I don't know. We'll see if it works. I have heard good things about them on the internet, and of course, internet is full of reliable sources of information. It's like, other people have them, it's not that big a deal. And like, it's not like we're doing huge horsepower, it's like, we're gonna be running maybe 8, 9, 10 pounds of boost, so like, hopefully it'll be able to handle it. And then of course we have the rest of our intercooler pipe. We got some little clamp things there for the couplers. It'll be nice. And then this brings us to what I have yet to purchase. What we got here is a Z32 MAF harness, and it's like kind of cut, and it also is missing a nice important piece of metal that holds it to the MAF, which is wonderful. I'm gonna have to find one of those, or no, I don't even want to think about it. So yeah, the things I still have to get is the Z32 MAF, which is necessary when you're shoving this much air into the motor. The factory one can't deal with it. Gotta get an AFR gauge because we want to know if we're blowing up our motor, and then of course we gotta deal with our tune. Like, I kind of was thinking about this a while ago, and I was like, man, I could just get like a FMU and just like shove a bunch of fuel pressure in it, and I'd just be like, maybe it would like just work. And I was like, alright, like, I want to give this entire setup the best possibility of not exploding. I'm just going to suck it up and get the tune done to the ECU. I'm going to get one of the RS Enthalpy tunes. It's like $400. It's like, that's like more than half of what I paid for everything else. But it's like, I'm just going to do it. Hopefully it like makes the car work. Then if I ever have to get it reflashed, it's only $100, which is like, it's like less. And it's just like, get it done, get the flash, and make it more power with the turbo boost. Yes. And of course I'm going to have to pick up a few more oil lines, because of course I did not order the right ones of those at all. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm probably going to do another few maintenance items on the motor. When I put the new one in, I put in new spark plugs, as well as something else that I can't remember that was kind of expensive. Oh yeah, I put a new oil filter on, and that was nice. And yeah. And I mean, that's pretty much it for all the turbo stuff. Like, I'm planning on making like 220, 230, 240 horsepower at the tires. Will that actually happen? We'll have to find out and see once we pop it on the dyno. But I mean, that's pretty much it. Alright, and then I want to show you guys, like, I spent like time, and I like cleaned the garage, and like, I'm going to show you, you're going to be like, so, you're like, wow, George, that's amazing. Alright, so this like doesn't look that clean, but it's like, the amount of stuff that's like going on here is like, compared to what it was before, is like, it's like, I still have to, like, I don't need these engines, like, I think the head on that one's good, because it's the one that was in my car before, and there's nothing wrong with the head, so I think I'm going to pull the head off of it, and then just like, take the bottom end to like, the dump, because I don't need it. And then there's like water inside of this motor that I got. And the guy gave it to me with the motor that's in the car right now, and it's just there's like water in it. I guess it was like outside, so it's like, that's probably not like a good thing, so it's probably gonna have to get rid of that one. And then this motor, like, it's probably like okay. Like, 'cause I pulled out of the car like 2 years ago, and I was like, man, it has a blown head gasket, because like there was a white smoke coming out of the tailpipe, but it's like, it definitely wasn't a blown head gasket. It was just like a cold motor starting, and there's just a little smoke. But I mean, we got the dual cams and we got the single cam out. Ah! Why did that not turn on? Oh, goodness gracious. This is unplugged here. Oh, there we go. We got light now. I moved this workbench over here. And it used to be like right here, so there's like a lot more open space over here. Then we got like some exhaust here, we got a go-kart, you got this S14 seat, some other situations over there. We got this workbench. We have this amazing shelf, all this stuff on it that's no longer just like on the floor. And we got like all this, and we have this amazing tire rack. It just like holds tires, and it's just like they're up, and you can just like get whichever ones you want. And it's like, oh, look at that dry rot right there. Can't wait to burn off those. It's just like, yeah, we got the engine hoist, and it's a lot more organized than it used to be. And like, my like tools are like in the right place now, and it's just like, they're like there, and it's just like, oh yeah, and you can just find things, and it's just really amazing. Except for like the trunk of this, which is like full of just stuff. And I mean, that's pretty much it for like what's going on right now. I have some more plans for the near future, so make sure to stay tuned for that. We're gonna be like doing some more stuff, getting the engine running exactly right before we pop a turbo on it, because like that'd probably be a good decision. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the very next video.